What is going on, guys? In today's video I will show you the best Shockwave Totem warrior build in Path of Exile 2 0.3 update. This build has been surprising me with just how fun and strong it feels, that it has the perfect blend of tankiness, reliability, and insane DPS scaling into the endgame. The concept is very simple. You summon Shockwave Totems, and those totems will do almost all the heavy lifting for your damage. You as the warrior just simply focus on setting the stage, by creating fissures, applying the jag ground, and stacking war cries or the banners to boost everything that the totems do. At any point you can drop 4 Shockwave Totems, and from there destruction begins. The synergy between the Earthquake, Volcanic Fissure, and the Forge Hammer is what makes this setup feel so powerful. The Earthquake lays jagged ground, which amplifies the totem damage. Then Volcanic Fissure throws down fiery cracks that your totems can repeatedly detonate. And Forge Hammer provides an even heavier hitting version of that interaction for bosses, though it does require war cries to activate. The beauty of this build is its flexibility in the combat flow. If you are clearing maps, you're mostly relying on your Shockwave Totems, letting them rip through the packs with their massive AoE pulses. If you need more damage for the tanky rares or the bosses, then you press Volcanic Fissure. If that's still not enough, then the Earthquake and the Forge Hammer will come online, stacking jagged ground and additional fissures for your totems to detonate. And on top of this, if you really want to push things over the edge, then you've got Infernal Cry, War Banner, and even the Sunburn as the last buffs to destroy anything standing in your way. And remember, if you want to track this build, look up the best items, the skill trees, and path of building, then check my link in the description. And before we continue, thanks to U4GM. They are a pro website that provides POE2 services like cheap currency, then even to trade all types of quality items and gems and much more. They have also more than 20,000 positive comments on Trustpilot, and this website is really worth a try. So make sure to use my discount code KAID for extra 6% off. So let's take a look at our skill gems. The goal during leveling is to go towards Ancestral Artiface as quickly as possible, while still grabbing some damage nodes to keep your pace comfortable. Once you've got Ancestral Artiface online, combine that with the first Ascendancy, Answered Called, and the Volcanic Fissure, and then you can transition into the full Shockwave Totem setup. At that point, the build really starts to feel like it's coming online. Now there's also Rakiate's Flow. It's a rare and extremely expensive gem right now, but if you can somehow get your hands on one, then it provides an enormous damage boost against bosses. Think of it as a luxury addition. You don't need to succeed, but it's the best 10 slot if you get lucky. Then for the core links, your Shockwave Totem is absolutely the start of the show. In a 6-link setup, it pairs with the Volcanic Fissure, the Forge Hammer, and the Earthquake. The 5th support gem is where the things get flexible. If you want smoother clears, then you can add something like the Slam support, or if you just want raw DPS boost, then go with the Heavy Swing or Execute too. And if you're leaning towards survivability, then Font of Blood is great because it provides Life Leech, which really shines if you're running the blood magic. Then as for the Fissure skills, remember this: the Forge Hammer is stronger than the Volcanic Fissure, but it comes with a cooldown and requires a war cry, and this makes it best reserved for bosses or tough rares. The Volcanic Fissure, meanwhile, is your reliable and spammable fissure maker for the maps and general encounters. You generally don't want to overlap the two. If the Forge Hammer is active, then avoid using the Volcanic Fissure at the same time, or you risk cutting into its effectiveness. Then Earthquake is a little different. You don't actually care about its damage directly. We are just using it for the jagged ground, which amplifies your totem damage. That means the support you link with the Earthquake should focus on AoE and duration, rather than the raw DPS. Beyond that, there are some utility gems worth highlighting. Berserker is a fantastic damage booster, but it requires a bit of life regen management to use it comfortably. Then Scavenge Plating provides extra armor, but it only works if you get the Anvil's Weight Ascendancy node. And Ancestral Spirits is a sneaky good boost, though currently the prolonged duration does not increase its buff duration due to what seems like a bug, so hopefully that gets fixed soon. And in terms of weapon setups, you wanna run the Shockwave Totem and the Southern in weapon set 1, in Volcanic Fissure and the Forge Hammer in weapon set 2. This makes it easy to pivot between your core playstyle and your heavy hitting utility skills. Next up we have the passive tree, and it is made to do one thing extremely well, which is to scale Shockwave Totem damage while making you super hard to kill. Your number one priority is Chanked, so get it as much as possible. It not only directly scales your life pool, but also opens the door for big strength scaling synergies later in the build. You of course want to grab dexterity and intelligence as needed, but only to meet the gem requirements, and then just stack strength all the way to the endgame. From there you focus on totem clusters like the Ironwood and the Ancestral Bond, by stacking every possible multiplier for the totem damage, attack speed and survivability. These notables will make your totems hit like a truck and last long enough to keep your uptime nearly 100%. You also heavily invest into the life and the energy shield hybrid scaling, which synergizes with the warrior's ascendancy and defenses. It's not just about having a huge life pool, it's about regenerating and mitigating the damage at the same time. This gives you room to stay on the front line while your totems do the work. Damage scaling comes primarily from the physical and AoV nodes. The AoV is specifically important. It doesn't just increase the raw numbers, it also expands the size of your shockwaves, making your cluster smoother and your boss fights feel more oppressive. We also want to invest a bit into the utility nodes for the mana sustain, so we're never stuck in an awkward downtime waiting for the recast. And don't forget about the jevels. You want to look for bonuses to the totem placement speed, armor, life regen, and ideally the flat strength. If you can corrupt into a 2% strength on a Jevel suffix, then that's the best end slot. Overall, the end result is a passive tree that gives you insane Shockwave Totem scaling, while keeping your character tanky and comfortable in the thick of combat. Then next we have our Ascendancy, and we want to begin with the Answered Call, which is a cornerstone that establishes your totem scaling and ensures a smooth shift into the full totem playstyle. From there, the Anvil's Weight provides massive armor scaling, while enabling unique mechanics like the Scavenge Plating, which gives this build a layer of physical defense that few others can match. Then the third pick is the Wooden Wall, that will further cement your durability by stacking defenses, making you exceptionally hard to kill. And finally, the Renly's Training will tie everything together, by boosting both your offensive output and defensive consistency. By taking all of these 4 ascendancies together, you will get a blend of survivability, reliability and the raw power, which is perfect for our totem build. Now let's shift gears and talk about the Atlas tree, because this is where you define your endgame farming strategy. The good news is that this build thrives in dense content, so we're going to lean into that. In our updated 0.3 setup, the central tree has some of the best notables for the Essence, Harvest, Strongboxes and Delirium, and that's exactly where we want to focus on. Essence will give us consistent crafting mats, then Harvest provides deterministic upgrades, and Strongboxes and Delirium crank up monster density to insane levels. On the right hand side, we are going to invest into the Legion and Expeditions, which adds even more monsters and loot explosions to your maps. And then at the top, you'll invest into the bossing nodes, that improve encounters like the Conquerors, Mavens and the Shaper. That way you always are ready to farm bosses without having to respect your tree. The key is not to spread yourself too thin, you are clustering around synergetic mechanics that give both the loot and crafting value. For example, the Essence plus the Strongboxes will guarantee consistent profits, while Harvest lets you quickly shape your gear. Next we have Gear, and this is the place where we transform the build from pretty good to absolutely godlike. The rule of thumb is to stack strength everywhere. Every single slot should ideally provide some strength that keeps you scaling damage and survivability together. The most important unique is the Constructing Command, which is a helmet that enables some extremely powerful passive nodes when rolled correctly, so make sure to get one with the max roll of 5 fewer enemies required to be surrounded. Then for weapons, your goal is to get a high physical DPS mace or a staff. The dream setup of course is getting a +6 to melee skills, with the perfect essence of the battle, while making sure that your suffixes are locked in. If you can eventually drop the reduced attribute requirements, then you can go all in on attack speed. Then gloves and boots are both massive crafting projects. You want double socketed bases with fractured strength, and then just keep on crafting it until you get good prefixes like life and armor. Use Essence of the Horror for the 100% socket effect, and aim for suffixes like the life regen and resistances. With omens you can push these even further. Then for the chest we should get the Ornate Plate, with the life regen implicit. You want to prioritize armor, life, and the armor applies to elemental modifier. Then Amulet is by far the hardest slot, so you'll want the Spirit, all attributes, flat or percentage strength and the life. Getting plus melee skills is very rare, so settle for strong defenses or utility suffixes if needed. And then finally, our shield should stack life, armor, and the armor applies to elemental roll. And now finally, let's see how to actually play this build. Our rotation is straightforward but incredibly satisfying. You start by dropping up to 4 Shockwave Totems in a group of monsters. That alone will clear most fights. If you need more damage, then add in Volcanic Fissure. If that's not enough, then hit the Earthquake to create jagged ground. For bosses or the super tanky rares, you wanna switch to the Forge Hammer and pair it with the Infernal Cry for the massive burst. From there, the War Banner and even Southern are your final damage buttons to absolutely annihilate anything that dares to stand in your way. What makes this build so fun is that every layer feels impactful. Each kill that you press has a weight and a meaning. You're not just spamming one button endlessly, and because of your totems are doing most of the heavy lifting, so you're free to move, dodge and stay alive, without worrying about dropping your DPS uptime. And the end result is a build that feels aggressive, tanky and devastating all at once. No matter if you're mapping, bossing or farming endgame content, the Shockwave Totem Warrior build is the best in slot.